Hey, what's up, Instagramly? Cliffy D here from the Alouettes Flight Deck. About to do Flight Deck Live. Just going to invite our man Tim Capper in momentarily. Going to be talking about last night's game versus a gutsy effort, but just wasn't meant to be, unfortunately. We got Tim right now. There he is.
If I can still get that thing to work. It never works. You're able to start it. You're able to start it okay, but nah, not me, not the capper. No.
As it seems like every podcaster that does these things says, one day we'll get it right.
One day we'll pop up with a flight deck live on YouTube.
There you go. We'll make that happen.
Yeah.
So once again, this is Flight Deck Live. I'm Cliffy D. That's Tim Capper down there, and we're going to talk about last night's game. The Toronto Argonauts came in. Everybody expected them to walk all over the Alouettes, but the Alouettes had different plans for that. But at the end of the day, the Argos managed to escape with a 35-27 win against the Alouettes, and let's break this down, Tim.
First and foremost, the game itself. The score itself is no way indicative of how entertaining this game was. Completely different than what it was last week versus BC. Considering the short week, they made no excuses. They made no excuses whatsoever, and they really came to play. I mean, think of it. They got into Montreal from BC at 6 a.m. Monday morning. Day off on Wednesday. So entertaining, this game. So entertaining.
It really was. Chad Kelly definitely proved that he belongs in this league. He definitely proved that if he's using this league for a stepping stone, so be it. But he's doing what is expected out of anyone who comes in from the NFL looking to get back. And, they always say, well, then go to the CFL and dominate because it's a quote-unquote lesser league. Well, it's definitely not a lesser league. And Chad Kelly's definitely proven that he belongs here for sure. He played outstanding football. Yet this Alouettes defense did make him. They made him work for this win. There's no question about that.
No, it's true. I mean, I don't think the Owls ended up getting any sacks this week, but all in all, even though Chad Kelly threw for over 350 yards, it's still, again, very entertaining game. But there's still some work to do. There really is. I mean, they had a 10-7 lead at halftime. But the second half was just absolutely nuts. I mean, again, props to everybody. Short week, they're able to do something that they needed to do, and what more can we say than Tyler Snead?
I feel the need for Snead. Not one, not two. 3 touchdowns. Holy cow. I mean, that's fantastic. You talk about a coming out party. That was a coming out party last night for Tyler Snead.
Yeah, for sure. And as you and I have said throughout the year when we were at camp, he was somebody that we were looking forward to seeing play, and he balled out. He did what he needed to do, and obviously he wouldn't have been able to do it without the disappearing Cody Fajardo, which was just absolutely nuts in itself.
Wow. I mean, that's the other thing too, is that Cody Fajardo, I mean, he's taken his lumps this year, figuratively and literally, as quarterback for the Alouettes. But last night, I mean, he proved he was a gamer. He proved that, he gets down, but he doesn't stay down. Like he picks himself back up and he gets back out. He'll get back out there, and I mean, he made a game out of it. That's the thing, is he didn't quit. There was no quit in him. He didn't, take his ball and go home. Like, he fought to the bitter end. And Alouettes fans have to feel encouraged by that effort. I mean, the result maybe not what you wanted, but I got to say, that was just a game where you really thought they had it. And just little miscues here and there. That was really the key for the Alouettes, was just the little things here and there that, it helped bounces more going towards their way. This would have been a completely different game altogether.
No, it's true. And I think what a lot of people need to remember is that even though that everybody's been concentrating on what how high the totals are for the sacks, people have to go. He came into this game with only 1 interception. Mm-hmm. It's I've been trying to remember. I understand why there's so much hype or concentration on the actual numbers for sacks, but two interceptions, yes. One was at the end of the game, but again, one of the interceptions was at a time where it could have helped the Alouettes when they were driving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and these things happen, but I mean, just the way that Fajardo was able to battle back, and the Argos would score, and he'd have a response, and it was just kind of back and forth. It felt like a heavyweight contest, the way these two were just trading haymakers back and forth. And let's say, Toronto did not want to lose. They did not want to lose this game, and they played like they felt they were in a fight. That was the thing, that they've been pretty dominant. Mind you, they played a kind of hapless Edmonton team, a Hamilton team that was walking wounded, but the fact that they dog walked the BC Lions before, they were probably feeling like they could handle anything, and the Alouettes just gave them fits more than anything else. Like they, as I said, Chad Kelly and the Argos had to fight and scratch and claw their way to get this win. This was not a cakewalk by any stretch of the imagination.
No, it wasn't. But obviously, we were expecting some things that we weren't too happy about. But obviously, one of the few things at the very beginning of the game was the late scratch of Ciante Evans. We were expecting him to be back. Mm-hmm. But we can only imagine what the defense would have been like if he had been playing this game.
Yeah, and we can't overlook the fact that this secondary, unfortunately, is not looking good. I mean, that's the difficult part. Aside from Wesley Sutton, he was still playing hard, still throwing out some massive hits, but by and large, the secondary is it could be a lot better. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and this I'm just pulling this directly from the post-game report from one of the local media outlets. This is telling. Kevin Ento, which was burned on that last second touchdown, or that last touchdown that gave the Argos the lead in the win. Kevin Ento was not available for comment after the game.
No,
speaks volumes.
Yeah, and trust me, if I'm Kevin Ento, I don't want to see anybody at that point. You just grab your stuff and go home, because that was, I'm sorry to say, that was tough. He was torched for 2 touchdowns that, had he just focused on the ball more than the receiver, and just, if anything, watching the receiver at least 3-4 yards ahead of him, that's tough. I mean, once is bad, but twice, mm-hmm. To me, that's unacceptable.
Wasn't it really thrice?
Yeah. And listen, let's give credit where credit's due, though. I mean, he was a big part of the other turnover that Toronto had, that strip sack, or not strip sack, but the strip and fumble. I mean, which was recovered by Tyrese Beverett. Ento was a big part of that as well. He helped make that happen. So we got to give credit where credit's due. But I mean,
if it only stuck, that was the problem. I mean, but still, also give props to Qua for the interception. Obviously Chad Kelly shouldn't have made the throw that he did, but he was baited, and we got the interception, and it helped us get 3 points. So.
No, and that's why, as much as people like to harp on Coach Thorpe and how he doesn't always bring the pressure, he plays too much zone defense, but I mean, they're doing some things right, and being able to make Chad Kelly throw against his body like that, and just, it was an ill-advised throw, and Marc-Antoine Dequoy made the most of it, which, props to him for that as well. He is really, really coming along. He's really shining. That is the thing that helps, is having someone like that in the secondary. Even though I just said the secondary looks a little lost there, definitely has nothing to do up the middle. Up the middle, as far as I'm concerned, Dequoy is definitely doing the job and definitely making people sit up and take notice.
Yeah, what were your thoughts on the offense itself? There's a span there in the third quarter where William Stanback could not come in. I think I may have heard something that there may have been a potential issue, but there was no reporting on that yet. So, but either way, both him and Joshua Nantwi did an amazing job. It wasn't that many yards, but they did an amazing job when they needed to. I think Stanback was averaging almost 8 yards a carry. I had to double check it out, but I think that's what it was.
Yeah, I spoke with him yesterday, and I told him, like, dude, you're running angry. He's like, yeah, but I need to run angrier because when he does, good things happen. Like, I mean, you could tell he after what we saw out in Vancouver last Sunday, you knew he was going to come into this game just a little bit pissed off and wanting to prove, and he certainly proved himself. Like give him the rock, simple as that. Like you give Stand back the rock, he will make things happen. Joshua Nantwi too, yeah, definitely had some nice little runs. Definitely also too not afraid to get in there and make stuff happen. But offensively, I mean the team responded. That was the thing. Like as I said, everybody and their mother was expecting this team to roll over and die against the defending Grey Cup champions, and they hung tough. That was the thing. They proved how scrappy they were. They proved that they were not going to just go away into the night. Like the way that Cody Fajardo was able to make things happen and drive downfield. That was the thing too. It was just marching downfield and making things happen. And I gotta give Cody props for that. That third and short set up all the way to a touchdown. Unbelievable. Caught everybody napping on that one. I mean, even us too. Like we're just move the chains kind of thing. But he pulls away like, oh crap! What the? Oh! Tyler Snead is all by himself and off to the end zone. Bye bye. That was an absolute beauty.
Yeah, it was, and I was wrong, by the way. Stanback only had an average of 4.4, but
4.4 yards. You could tell he wanted to prove, he wanted to make his case, saying like, listen, you got to get me involved in this offense. You got to give me the chance to do what Cody can't do. And I props to him for that. He definitely proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that he still is that guy. He still is that running back.
Yeah,
just got to get him involved more in the offense. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, and we'll see what's happening. And with the week off, we'll see if there was an issue. I think Stanback did come back in the fourth quarter for a couple of runs. But real quickly, what about the receiving core? I mean, 9 guys got targeted last night. Again, we seem to, these changes that the Alouettes made to the wide receiver core has worked perfectly so far with Kobe Davis and Snead, and obviously you can't forget about KJG, and you can't forget about Dawson Mack. So they seem to be gelling well, and think about what it's like potentially coming back in 2 weeks. From what we heard, from what we're talking to him post game, we actually may have Tyson Philpott back.
That would be tremendous. I mean, you're absolutely right. But let's not forget, at the start of the season, everybody looked at the receiving core for the Alouettes and said, oh, these guys, they're not going to be able to compete. That was part of the thing. Oh, you lost Geno Lewis. You lost Jake Winicki. This receiving core isn't going to do jack squat. And guess what? Y'all forgot about Keon Julian Grant. Y'all forgot about Tyson Philpott, even though he was hurt. Like that's the thing. Like just for Austin Mack, Tyler Snead, Courtney Davis, who still almost made an incredible one-handed catch himself. I mean, these are guys that have stepped up and played a great role. Fergie Mayala, even though he definitely shouldn't be on special teams, I'm sorry to say, as a receiver, definitely still belongs on this team, can still make the occasional highlight-worthy play. And, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, this receiving core, I've said it at the start of the season, you're not going to replace Eugene Lewis. You're not going to replace Jake Winicki so easily. But these guys have come in and they've made a name for themselves. These guys have come in and played pretty outstanding football, all things considered. Like, they have made themselves available for Cody Fajardo. I mean, truthfully, I think this receiving core is, while not the best in the CFL, they are certainly far from the worst. Like, this is a receiving core that can compete and has proven that they can compete, just given the opportunity. As long as Fajardo gets rid of the ball relatively quick, doesn't need to do all the fancy footwork or anything like that. Just, get out there, grip it and rip it, and these guys will come down with the ball and make things happen.
Yeah. And obviously we're going to go to this in more in detail in the podcast this Wednesday. Even though the team is on a bye, we are going to be still having a show, so that's something you fans don't have to worry about. Yes. A couple of things planned. We'll see what's going to happen. We'd like to we'll see what we can do. We're hoping to get a potential interview, but we'll stay tuned to our socials for any more information on that. And but again, we'll go into more extensive detail on this game this week on the podcast.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're joining us, thank you so much for doing so. If you happen to miss this, just check it out. It's going to be on our YouTube page very shortly. That's youtube.com/Alouettes Flightdeck. Make sure you're following us on all the socials, Twitter, Facebook, obviously here on Instagram, and yes, Threads as well. Make sure you look for the Alouettes Flightdeck. As always, you can find the archives over at www.alouettesflightdeck.ca. Tim, I mean, it's funny to say, but I feel like this is the best 2-3 team in the Canadian Football League.
Yeah, I actually agree with you. It's funny, we go away from a loss, but it was such an entertaining loss. As long as the team played well, there just seems to be a few things that need to be done. There seems to be a potential upcoming announcement for a pickup of a defensive back. If you happen to see our socials, what we're talking about. So it's going to be an interesting off week, and then a week leading up to the first Sunday night game for the Alouettes versus the Calgary Stampeders.
Yeah, it's funny. Like usually, bye week is usually when big things tend to happen with this team. Not always good, but sometimes it is. So I mean, I guess we'll see. I guess that's the only thing I can tell folks is stay tuned. Typically, the Alouettes are going to do something. I won't say major necessarily, but they'll definitely do something, if only to keep their name on everybody's tongues. So we'll see what happens. Maybe it's just a simple matter of 1 or 2 player additions or subtractions, or like I don't see any coaches or anybody getting fired. So at least we can take we can rest easy on that. But the Alouettes are going to do something for sure, because again 2-3, mind you, it's 3 losses in a row, which is concerning. But still, like, and even talking with the guys last night, like it was, it sucks, 2-3, and it was so close, but like you don't feel like there's any panic. You don't feel like that. Oh, here we go again, kind of thing. Back to the old ways. Like it doesn't feel like that. Like there's not that sense of panic. There's not that sense of dejection that we're oh no, we suck again. There's none of that. Like this truly does feel like a team that is competitive and is ready to compete. It's just, as I said, little things here and there, and just a couple more bounces their way, and this team could easily have been 3-2, or 3-1. Like
4-1. They could have been 4-1.
4-1. Yeah. Sorry.
But again, what it could have stood up. Stay tuned for the show this week, guys. We appreciate you for joining us for what we're loving this Flightdeck Live.
Yeah.
But find us on socials. I'm at Repack. That's on Twitter. ClippyD on Twitter also, and we'll see if we can throw one in here somehow. Somehow we'll figure out it for Flightdeck Live next week. But either way, you will see us after sometime after the Flightdeck Live, obviously for the game after for Calgary.
Yeah. Once again, folks, thanks again for joining us here on Flightdeck Live. Looking forward to talking more about this game next week. And again, I guess enjoy the bye week, folks. And definitely stay tuned. If you like what we're doing, let us know in the comments below. Tell a friend, tell a coworker, tell everybody about the Alouettes Flightdeck. We definitely appreciate each and every one of you supporting us and letting us do our thing. So, Tim, wasn't easy last night, but once again, you can't help but feel just a little bit positive of where things are going, and it's just a matter of, can the Alouettes right the ship, so to speak, before July 30th against Calgary?
Exactly. It'll be fun. It'll be fun to see what they're going to do. I appreciate you, buddy. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks again, everybody. Have a good day.